let's get into the main subject here, and that is recycling, getting your podcast out there again. And, you know, some of you guys put out what's called expirable content. What does that mean? That basically means this content, the news that I just read to you in a year will, in some cases, will mean nothing. The Wooshka thing, that might still be around, so you might still be using that, so that might help you. But, you know, the Black Podcast event, a year old, and they'll probably have another one since then. So, but you get the idea. Now, evergreen content is just something like what I'm doing right now, telling you guys that evergreen content is evergreen, because in a year, it's still relevant. In 2 years, it's still relevant. The only way it's not relevant is if podcasting disappears for some reason. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. So anyway, with podcasting, with evergreen content, you can take some of your shows and make it happen again and get a whole new audience. And I've been doing this with the Day in Tech History podcast. The cool thing about this podcast was it was 365 days of historical content. Guess what? Next year, 365 days of historical content. There might be something new. In a lot of cases, for a certain day, it's not. I mean, it just isn't. So, but, you know, every few years I'll have to re-look at some of that and add to that. And I'm definitely going to be looking at Day in Tech History and building up that back-end library a little bit more, because I took down my wiki page. And the wiki page had all the Day in Tech History information on it. I want to bring that into the page itself and go from there. So that means a little bit of work on my end, and I just need to do it. But in the last 6 months, lots of videos. I still have videos I haven't finished yet, and so that's kind of tough to do. But anyway, so you want to take your sometimes you just want to take a show and repost it because, hey, you know, it's July 4th. Let's take a couple days off. You can take a couple days off. We don't want you to burn out. A lot of podcasters have suffered from burnout, and where they could be making lots of money in their show, they end up not, because they're burnt out, and then they stop doing it, and then people stop listening to the show. So they have this awesome show that nobody gets to watch or listen to. And then they say, well, it's just not worth it anymore. And then they're done. They're done. They're totally done. So ways to it. This is a great way to avoid burnout. Take the weekend off by recycling one of your shows. Now, doing the audio, doing the video, whatever program you use on there, I think you can figure out how to use it. If you want to change anything, maybe you want to put what's called a tip and tail on it. Tip and tail means a new type of intro, a new type of outro. And that's well and good. Maybe you want to put in, hey, you know, I recorded this back on this day, and here's some poignant parts on this podcast. Maybe you'll do some extra editing, take down a little bit more of the ums and ahs, take down a little bit more of the extra blah blah blahs, and kind of tighten that thing up. Or maybe you just take that episode, boop, boop, done. You can do that. You can. It's very, I like I said, I do it. And the best part is, if you run your site on WordPress, there's a lot of great ways to do it. First of all, you want to install 2 plugins that I always use for this. The first one is the one called Duplicate Post. Now let me show you what I got here. You're seeing the back end. Yes, you're seeing the back end of dayintechhistory.com. So this is what I do when I go to get ready to set up the next month. So I first of all, I found August. I already did July, so we're done with that. So I did August 2018. Hit the filter button. So you go to your posts, August 2018, or wherever, and then filter. Maybe you just want a specific post. You find that specific post, and then you bring that up. But this is the easiest way to do that. Now with the duplicate posts, in here you have your edit, your quick edit, your trash, your view, and clone, and a new draft. The difference between cloning and a new draft, they're very similar. But if you do a bulk action, I think you can only do a clone. Yeah, you can only do a clone in that. So in my case, I would hit all and then clone. And then it takes a few minutes to do, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to hit clone here. And it's going to create a copy of this post. And when it does that, it's going to take a couple seconds here. When it does that, then I have another copy, which I can then turn around and send out to people here. So now that I've got that, it's not going to be in the posts because it's not August of 2018 anymore. I'll have to go to my new posts, and you'll see all my scheduled stuff. You'll have to go down here. Right there. There's the August 1st. MTV goes on air. First draft long distance database established. Excuse me. So now all I have to do is hit edit. And this is awesome because now here's the post. It's ready to go. And I just have to make some changes. Like, for instance, this link right here doesn't work anymore. So I'm going to take that link out. Boom, like that. I have another plugin called Shortcoder that allows me to create shortcodes that will then end up being something more cool on the page. And this was before Gutenberg was introduced in WordPress. So, and as you can see, it brought it in as a classic editor, just a straight up edit. So what I've been doing lately with this is I go to the more options. I say I want to convert it all to blocks, and boom, everything is now in block format. The reason why I want to do block format is simply because of the fact that it actually, it's hard to explain, but it works better. Because I don't know the back end that well, but it works better on the page. It'll help the page load better. So I've been converting all my posts to Gutenberg. There is no plugin out there, unfortunately, that allows you to just say, oh, I want it all converted. And because Geekazine, I've got thousands of posts on Geekazine. It'd be nice to actually convert them all to Gutenberg and go back and be done with it. But anyway, so now I have this all set up to blocks. I can go back here to document. I can make my adjustment. The first thing is the URL slug. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll change this a little bit, like say cable MTV. We'll just put cable in front of there. So now if I can do this, I can actually change this URL. But you want to change the URL slug on here a little bit so it doesn't conflict with your last one. And they'll put a 2 or a 3, they'll number it afterwards from there. Now, of course, I'll say I don't want to publish immediately, so I'll go. This will in this case. It will be July, August 1st, I publish these on the day before at 9 p.m. So I'll go and I'll say 9 p.m. There we go. And I have that set. Now, my next one, and I think this is very important. If you really want your content to come through, make sure your socials are set up. Make sure you're at least on Twitter and LinkedIn. It helps to be on other platforms. But as you'll see here in a second, I have Day in Tech History Twitter, Geekazine Twitter, and Day in Tech History Facebook, and my LinkedIn page and a Tumblr page. I can connect more accounts here. But this is the most important thing, and that is taking and putting in a little bit more into your posts. Like, for instance, MTV probably has a Twitter account. I'll double check, but I'll change that. I'll do @MTV right there. And now it'll show up as MTV. At the end of my posts, I always put podcast, hashtag technology, hashtag history. Always do that. Because, and of course, when I post on Geekazine, I have a different set of hashtags. But I always put in podcast, hashtag podcast, because I want people that are looking. I have alerts for podcast set up. And it will come across that list, and other people watch that list. And that's how they cue in on articles, on podcasts, on anything, any content that relates to what they're looking for. So if somebody's told you not to put in any hashtags, then simply they're doing it wrong. You've now got 280 characters to work with. Use them. Don't go hog wild. Don't go tagging 100 people in there. Don't go creating 100 different hashtags. Simple hashtags. In this case, hashtag podcast, hashtag history, hashtag technology. Simple as that. And you can have, this will help you. This has helped Dan Tech History grow. And you can even say rebroadcast, hashtag rebroadcast, or whatever. But actually, just fill that thing out. And you'll find that a lot of people will find your podcast because you filled that part out. And that's Jetpack is one of the plugins. I know some of you don't like Jetpack. It's not great. But there are, I'm pretty sure there's got to be other plugins out there that allow you to do the same thing if you don't want to use Jetpack. I use Jetpack. And it works for me. And this is a great feature of Jetpack. So anyway, now I have this set up. So now I can hit, I'm ready to go. I can hit schedule button. Are you ready to schedule? Everything looks good. Yeah, let's schedule it. Boom. Now I can go on July 31st. I can go rest on the beach because I know that's going to happen. That audio is going to be there. I can I'll end up adjusting the post a little bit more, put a little bit more content in there, make any changes that need to be made. Maybe I misspelled a word the first time around and I didn't catch it. Now I can catch it. Like I showed you, I had to take the link out that doesn't exist anymore. And then when I add all my show notes, all the tech history stuff in pages, I'll link to those pages, and then I'll have to add that into there. It's grueling, but there's only 365 posts that I have to worry about. And at the beginning of every month, I spend a couple hours just reculturing these posts so they can be used again. And if I have to re-record audio, I can do that and then go from there. But your podcast might be a little bit easier. Maybe you interviewed somebody, some celebrity. Maybe you have a blooper reel or something like that. You put together a blooper reel really quick, boom, 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 done. Or maybe it was, whatever. You want to, that was 6 months ago, you want to fix it up and resend it out. Do it. And if it's going to help, especially if it helps with burnout, I'll tell you to do it every single time. So